Here at Thruxton, round 6 of the High-Q MSA British Touring Car Championship. A front row of Paul O'Neill and Matt Jackson. Our earlier race winners, Giovinardi and Turkington, back on row 5. Anything could happen. We'll go to our commentators, Tim Harvey and Ben Edwards.
Anything can happen, and we were just discussing this. Who is going to win this race? It's actually a very difficult one to predict, isn't it, Tim?
Brilliant chance for Paul O'Neill. He ran strongly in the top 5 in both the first 2 races, but it's the maximum grid reverse. In other words, the fastest cars are furthest away from the front. It's his best opportunity.
It really is. So Paul O'Neill starts on pole position. There he is in the sunshine.co.uk car, the Honda Integra car that's been so successful in British touring cars for many years now, and he lines up alongside Matt Jackson. Jackson, the runner-up last year, has switched from a BMW, of course, to a Chevrolet Lacetti. On the second row of the grid, Adam Jones in the Cartridge World Seat. He's got James Thompson in the Team Dynamics car alongside James, enjoying his return to the series. Jason Plato's next on the grid, though, in the Racing Silverline Chevrolet. Rob Collard, he's the first of the BMWs, but he's got to start from the third row of the grid. Could still be a force into the first corner. Behind them, we've got Stephen Jelly and Matt Neal. Both have been running pretty quickly so far this weekend, and Matt Neal will be determined to score more points to protect his lead. Behind, we've got Fabrizio Giovinardi. A great run so far, a win and a second place. What can he do here? There's the man that won earlier, though, Colin Turkington, winning race 2. Jonathan Adam and Harry Volkard line up together on the 6th row of the grid, BMW versus Chevrolet there. And then behind those two, we've got Dave Pinkney and Martin Bell. Honda Civic Type R versus the Integra of Martin Bell. John George is in another Integra. He lines up 15th. 16th, one of the older Astra Coupes. That's driven by Martin Johnson. Tom Chilton is in the Team Aon Ford Focus. Now, Andrew Jordan starting back there in 18th place. Got a lot of work to do, but we know how fast that Vauxhall Vectra is. Let's see how far he can get. Liam McMillan and Nick Neeson are on row 10 together at the BMW, diesel powered of course, and then at the back it's Alan Morrison and Danny's, and Danny's just hopeful of a race finish. He's had a bit of a disastrous day so far. So that's how the grid lines up. Then the cars already making their way round on this formation lap. I thought for a little while we were going to see some rain to finish the day off, but actually the darker clouds have moved away and it looks as though we're on to ideal conditions.
Yeah, a little bit cooler, so that'll suit the drivers both in the car and of course their highly stressed tyres. But there'll still be that requirement for them to stay off that right-hand curb as you look at it through the chicane in the first couple of laps.
So they're coming up through the chicane, and you can see one or two just weaving around, trying to build that tyre temperature. The Tempest Sports Chevrolet there coming through of Harry Volkard. The pink flashes on the side of the Team Dynamics Honda Civic, of course, of Dave Pinkney. Let's see what he can do. Led race 3 here a couple of years ago in an Alfa Romeo, I remember, Dave Pinkney, and lasted longer than we thought he would.
Yeah, great moment, and he'd love to repeat that, but struggling a little bit so far. This start, all important for Paul O'Neill and Matt Jackson on the front row.
Well, what a chance this is for the returning Paul O'Neill, running with the sunshine.co.uk with Tech Speed, a smaller team in British touring cars, but one of the most enthusiastic, hard-working teams down there in the pit lane. They've got their fingers crossed to see whether Paul can deliver here with a possible win. Well, let's see what happens. Long hole, wait for those lights to change. Lights out, away we go. It's not a good start by O'Neill. It's Matt Jackson who makes a great start in the blue Chevrolet. Matt Jackson launches himself. Adam Jones is trying to take second place in the yellow and green Seat. Paul O'Neill fending him off for the moment. But what a good start by Matt Jackson.
Yeah, great start. And Collard came charging through as well. Look at him there in 4th place. Great start from him.
Yeah, as expected, the BMW of Rob Collard starting well and attacking Paul O'Neill. There's a bit of bumping going on further back, though. Jason Plato right in the middle of the mix. Battle for third. Rob Collard trying to squeeze inside Paul O'Neill. James Thompson is in there battling with Colin Turkington as well, and all of them trying to squeeze through. In fact, that was Stephen Jelly, of course. He's further up on the grid, and then Plato coming through there as well. There's Turkington, and Matt Jackson already beginning to make a bit of a break.
Yeah, he's very good on cold tyres, Matt Jackson. Look at him right to the edge of the road, and so too Adam Jones, using every inch.
So good stuff, battles further down. Matt Neal trying to move up through the order as well. But it is Matt Jackson leading this race from Adam Jones in second place. And then Paul O'Neill, Rob Collard, James Thompson, then Stephen Jelly. And here's the attack. Matt Neal now throwing everything he's got at Colin Turkington, Stephen Jelly rather, as they come up the hill. Can he get alongside? He's got Jason Plato, of course. Great rival Jason Plato right behind Matt Neal. But he can't get through there at the moment. James Thompson leads that little group. But it's Matt Jackson still leading and not pulling away anymore. This time, Adam Jones has just closed that gap up again.
Yeah, it looked like Adam Jones and Paul O'Neill and Collard closed up just a little bit through that final chicane. Maybe Matt Jackson took it steady over the curbs and the others didn't.
Yeah, well, they've got to look after their tyres, as we know. Matt Jackson's still in control here. We're riding on board with Matt Neal. And Matt Neal sitting in 7th place. Jason Plato is 8th. Colin Turkington 9th. Giovanardi is down in 10th place, so he's got a bit of work to do from there. 11th for Johnny Adam, 12th for Dave Pinkney, Harry Volkard outside the top 10. And Andrew Jordan, by the way, started down in 19th, but he's up to 14th at the end of lap 1.
Yeah, good progress from Andrew Jordan. Giovanardi, of course, started 10th, started 9th, and he's actually lost a place.
Unusual to see that from the reigning champion. On board still with Matt Neal, out through these fast sections of the circuit. And we're going to come right the way through the rest of the lap here, on board, through Church Corner. Watch this.
Fantastic. Those Vauxhalls very quick through there. We heard Jason Plato say they gained sort of 3 car lengths on it, and you could see it there, really quick on the approach and apex of Church Corner.
They got a very tricky, clever front splitter design. They're probably getting a little more downforce than some of the other cars, and it certainly helps them through that Church Corner. Look how he's closed up to Stephen Jelly through the chicane.
Yeah, lost a little bit on the exit, but the rear-wheel drive car putting its power down very well. Yeah, very brave on the brakes. We've seen that all year. The Vauxhall fantastic on the brakes.
But it's Matt Jackson who's leading, and remember, Jason Plato was able to win with the Chevrolet in race 3 at Brands Hatch. Can Matt Jackson repeat that feat here? Well, he's looking pretty good for it at the moment. Early stages of the race, though. Jason Plato himself with a lot more to do. He's down in 8th place. We're on board with Plato now, sitting 8th. 7th place, Matt Neal, right ahead of him. Remember what happened when they were dicing at Brands last time out? He was actually clean for once, wasn't it?
Yeah, amazingly so. And they need to keep it clean here as well, because the high speeds, especially here. Look at that slide. Look at that big slide. That's the right rear tyre, which is the coldest tyre on the car. Still actually coming up to temperature a little bit, and Matt was clearly flat through Noble, and the car wanted to step out.
Heart in mouth moment, even for a double champion like Matt Neal, I would think.
That probably didn't stress him out. He's forgotten about it already. To you and I, it might be a moment, but to him, it's no problem. And Paul O'Neill stabilised himself in that 3rd place. He's got away from Collard, which is good. And expect that car, the Honda Integra in 3rd place there, possibly out of these 3 cars to be the best on its tyres over the race. So if he's not under pressure from behind, he has got a chance to catch up and maybe still do something, having muffed that start.
Yeah, well, of course, it was his first series of starts here today. He's done a couple already today, but when you're up front, there's different pressure on you, and you're on pole position, and Paul didn't really get it off the line too well. But battle up front at the moment, definitely, between Matt Jackson and Adam Jones. Adam Jones still looking for his first ever win in the British Touring Car Championship. He's had podiums, he's had lots of top 10s, but he's still looking for his first win. And behind, look, Rob Collard squeezed past Paul O'Neill. O'Neill just managing to hold on, I think.
Yeah, we didn't see the start of that, but clearly Collard was having a go, and he's now going to suffer because Thompson's going to go around the outside. They're going to have to go side by side through here. Thompson could end up on the grass. Oh, well held. He is on the grass, but he's still got his foot in.
Oh, magic stuff. He's still there. How did he hold on to that? That was real skill. That's double championship winning skill from James Thompson. And Rob Collard has to give up in the end. Meanwhile, Stephen Jelly under more threat now from Matt Neal. Matt Neal almost getting the overlap, but he couldn't quite.
No, that closed that bunch up really together, but great driving by James Thompson. Fantastic car control, very fast.
We're on board with Thompson now, looking back at Rob Collard, and that must have been pretty scary stuff for Collard as well, but they were both fighting hard for position, and fair enough, it's put Thompson up into 4th place now. Over the curbs they go as they come through that chicane, and still this battle is the tightest with Matt Neal in that as well. So is Jason Plato, remember. Still Matt Jackson leading though in the Chevrolet Lacetti, just by a fraction from Adam Jones. Paul O'Neill in 3rd, and now Thompson in 4th.
Here's the replay, side by side, a slight touch on the apex from Collard, not intentional, but it just puts Thompson out with a wheel on the grass. He doesn't lift off and maintains the inside for the turn into Goodwood.
That is absolutely amazing stuff, and just a great recovery there from Thompson. So we're watching this now as that was the move. This is where he ended up on the grass. There was the contact, yeah, and then he ended up on the grass. But here we are, race leader is Matt Jackson in the blue Chevrolet, then Adam Jones, Paul O'Neill 3rd, James Thompson now in 4th, heading up a great gaggle of cars behind him, but Thompson's made that little bit of a break from Rob Collard. Then it's Stephen Jelly, Matt Neal in there, Jason Plato and Colin Turkington, winner of race 2.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who's got this pace now amongst these top 4 cars. There's a little bit of distance between them. We'll see over the next couple of laps who's got real pace.
Giovanardi being patient, isn't he, at the moment? He's down in 10th, hasn't really made a move as yet, but he is at the back of this queue.
Yeah, he's at the back of this queue, and he's probably already decided that something's going to go on in this queue. And this was a mark of his championships over the last 2 years, some patience. But of course, he's down in the points at the moment, and he's got to push through.
Yep, that's off Eves again. Oh, can you believe it? Dan Eves hasn't, well, he's only completed about 5 laps so far. The 5 laps we've had in this race. Contact, Tom Chilton it was with.
Yeah, I mean, the Cartridge World team, Clyde Valley Racing, done a brilliant job to get that car fixed for the 3rd race. Remember, he went very hard backwards into the barriers at turn 1, and unfortunately he's put him out of the race, and probably Chilton as well.
I think they're both heading towards the pits, but they're out of the way, which is crucial because that means no safety car at this point. The racing continues, and still looking at this battle further down, Stephen Jelly in 6th in the Team RAC car, then Matt Neal, Jason Plater, Colin Turkington and Fabrizio Giovanardi. This lot completing the top 10. Behind them, then there's a little gap back to Jonathan Adam, Dave Pinkney, Andrew Jordan still in 13th, so all wide. Yeah. Where was he going?
Well, it's a good job that grass was dry, wasn't it? Because he had just a fraction, a tiny couple of percentage of grip there to keep it going, and then to go through Church with dirty tyres on the outside, that's bravery.
It is. Oh, we got Johnny Adams spun in the middle of the road, and people are managing just about to avoid him, but that's pretty scary. Look at the speed people are going past. And Matt no, it's not, it's Giovanardi attacking with Turkington. In fact, this is, yeah, he's gained that place, so that was 9th place that they were racing for. The two of them, of course, Turkington passed him at the end of race 2. Giovanardi's just returned the favour.
Yeah, and of course, Turkington now with Maxton Ballaston from the last race, so he's now having a struggle. Looking at the lap times, and as I suspected, amongst these front 3, or amongst the front 4 if you include Thompson, it was that man in 3rd place, Paul O'Neill, who set the fastest lap on that last lap, 0.2 of a second quicker than the two in front. Yeah. And now that he hasn't got Collard or Thompson pressuring him from behind, he might be able to do something. Yeah,
well, you're right. Look how close that 3rd car is to the top 2 now. Paul O'Neill is definitely putting the pressure on. Meanwhile, looking back at Rob Collard from James Thompson, this is 4th, looking back to 5th. And Thompson, so far so good, but we have seen the tyres going off a little bit on the Honda as the races have progressed, and that's something that Collard will be looking for in particular. Let's watch Thompson's car now from Collard, and you'll see whether the Honda is sliding a bit as we go through these quick corners. Looking okay.
It's looking okay. I mean, he said he was flat through that corner in qualifying, not quite flat after a couple of laps of the race, but still carrying good speed.
Top 3 up towards the chicane one more time. They'll be coming around to complete lap 7 and go on to lap 8 here as Matt Neal getting right on the boot lead of Stephen Jelly. I wondered for a moment if there might be contact, but there wasn't. They managed to just keep their distance there. And Stephen Jelly holding on to the place. But the man who's been out of luck so far today more than anybody is Dan Eves, and Louise is with him.
Yeah, poor Dan has had an absolute nightmare of a weekend, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been pretty dire. 3 starts, 3 non-finishes. So.
Just tell us about the incident in that last in the race we've just seen.
Well, I basically tried to get the inside of Tom Chilton down a Goodwood corner, and I made it up the inside. We touched slightly, and he got sideways. And as he got sideways, my front wheel caught with his front wheel, and he just pinged my car up in the air over the top of his. So
it can only go better next time out, mate.
Fingers crossed.
Cheers.
Absolutely, Louise. Can't really get much worse. Well, one says that, but yeah. OK, back to the racing action, and James Thompson still holding on to 4th position at the moment, ahead of Rob Collard. We've still got a race leader, though, in Matt Jackson. The blue car's eased away a bit over the last lap, Tim.
Yeah, I think Matt's sort of adjusted to whatever setup he's got on the car for this final race, and he seems to be holding his own there. Of course, he knows how to win races. He won plenty of races last year in the BMW, and he's one of those drivers that when he gets a sniffer, oh, it's Martin Bell. Yeah. Grass cutting.
Yeah, down from 15th. He was in 15th place. Teammate, of course, to Paul O'Neill, who's now beginning to harry Adam Jones, who goes straight through the chicane. Well, what will happen there? Will he have to give up the place, or...?
No, I think that his position coming out of the chicane is pretty much as it was going in. He couldn't make the chicane. It wasn't a deliberate thing. He didn't gain an advantage. I think that will go.
But it will give O'Neill confidence. If nothing else, he'll think, well, he's struggling maybe on the brakes a little bit. There's the view inside the RML pit. Tony Jackson, Matt's father there, we just saw on the right. There's his boy leading and at the moment he's got a 7/10 of a second advantage. But look at Paul O'Neill all over the second place Cartridge World car of Adam Jones. This is allowing Matt to just make that little bit of a break, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is, and I really hope he can pull this off, because Matt was a star of last year's British Touring Car Championship, snatching second place at the last meeting of the year, and he really deserves a ride this year. I don't know whether this is a prelude to the rest of the season, but certainly the PCC supported Chevrolet Lassetti going very well now.
It is. Well, Thompson, we're looking at James Thompson a little bit, sitting in 4th place at the moment. They're the top 3 through. There is Thompson with the day-glow flashes on the car, and of course we've got an onboard camera in that car, which we have looking at his feet. So there we are.
Yeah, watch this now, approaching the braking area, left foot braking, going down the box without any use of the clutch, because there's an electronic cut on the power on the gear change, so he can just change down without using the clutch. But
he's got a bit on the grass coming out of the chicane.
Yeah, you saw the lift on his right foot. A little breathe on the brake there, just going into the first corner to settle the car.
Yeah, interesting to watch. There was also a little pat on the pedal before he went up to the chicane, wasn't there, just to make sure the brake pressure was there. John George getting out of his car. The car off at the side of the road. Oh, there it is. Can't see the damage on the other side, but John obviously okay. And out of the race, I'm afraid. Take a look and see if we can find out what happened here. Out in the far sections, and ooh dear, barrier rushes up at you.
Yeah, and there's no tyres in front of that barrier, so he's gone straight into the Armco there on the driver's side, but looks like John is perfectly okay.
Well, Matt Jackson continues to lead this race. He has set fastest lap. That was on lap number 2. And he's got an advantage of 8/10, but safety car's been called, and that advantage is going to be nullified. As the safety car is called, it's yellow all around the circuit, and Matt's going to have to just take his time and think about this now, of course.
And behind Matt Jackson, I don't know if you noticed, but Paul O'Neill's up for second.
Yeah, I was just looking at the scoring there. Paul O'Neill has indeed moved into second, and I think he did it before safety car came out.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. He was shown in second as they came across the line last time.
Right, so Paul O'Neill into second, there you are. Adam Jones back to 3rd, James Thompson still in 4th, Rob Collard 5th, then Matt Neal, Jason Plato, Stephen Jelly, then it's Giovinardi and Turkington. Pinkney Jordan is next up, and Volkard following through. So that's who we've got still out there at the moment, with the safety car out, things settling down a little bit, but Matt Jackson certainly driving beautifully so far.
Really driving beautifully, and it's a credit to the RML team, because they're coming into each race a little bit blind, not having run here last year and not having run on these tyres, and as we saw at Brands, come the 3rd race, they've really got the car dialed in.
Yeah, no, it's impressive stuff, and it's a great addition to the championship to have these Chevrolet Lassettis in the series. Of course, cars that have been running in World Touring cars, but it's the first time that we've seen them in British Touring cars, and they're right on the pace immediately. That's quite an achievement by the team, but it's a team that knows its onions, isn't it?
Absolutely. A little bit strange, John George's accident. He looked like he just went straight off. I don't know if he did have a puncture or some kind of mechanical problem at the left front there, but it was a little bit odd, because he just went straight off the road.
Yeah, that was an odd one. Everybody just taking it easy now, settling down to a little bit of tyre warming and just refocusing. It does give the tyres a bit of a break, which is important here at Thruxton, allows them to cool down a touch. Remember, there'll be some laps added to the race as a result of safety car out there now.
Yeah, you notice there's no real vigorous weaving going on. They're actually quite happy to let the tyres recover a little bit, and really the sort of weaving is almost to keep the tyre clean, to stop them picking up rubber, rather than actually to keep them warm.
Right, well, we're going to see if we can get a quick word with James Thompson, sitting in 4th place at the moment. This is Ben in the commentary box to James. James, how's it feeling out there at the moment? 4th place, can you go any better?
Well, I've sort of got my mirrors full with Mr. Collard at the minute, so whilst I'm trying to push on, we had a good little tussle in the early part of the race. Thought I was going to lose it on the grass for a minute, but luckily I didn't run out of ability and managed to keep it all going. But yeah, it's tough. BMW is so strong in the complex, which unfortunately is where we're not so good. So yeah, it's a bit tough at the minute. Obviously the safety car's given us a chance just to be a little bit careful with the tyres and cool everything down. It's whether I can get the jump on Jonesy in front of me. The problem is with the hatchback, with the shape that we've got, both the strength of the Seat and the Civic is the quicker corners, but we're a little bit slow down the straight. So maybe I can sort of sneak past him using his slipstream if I can. But I'm mindful of the fact that I've got a red Vauxhall sneaking up behind Collard as well. So maybe I can use that to the advantage if I back Collard into whoever the Vauxhall is.
Well, we were very impressed with your moment on the grass there, I have to say. That was one of the moments of the season so far, I reckon.
Well, you know, I saw JP at the first race, you know, showboating for the crowd. So, you know, it was good old boys can give it a go, I suppose. I wanted to have a bit of a moment myself.
Okay, James.
Keep up with JP.
Yeah, well, he did that. Well done. And keep it on the island for the rest of it. Thanks for that.
Thank you, mate.
So remarkably cool, wasn't
yeah,
he?
Very
considering
cool.
He's in the heart of battle, and remarkably cool. But that's a touring car veteran for you.
Absolutely, he knows his business extremely well. He's been off racing in the World Touring Car Championship for the last couple of seasons. So it's been a little while since he's done a full season. Of course, he was with Sayat for a while, doing a partial season. And, well, we'll have to see whether Paul O'Neill's going to uphold family honour here. He's now got a big chance because he's second behind the safety car. And Sister Mel there, well, she is going to be willing him on to see whether he can make up for what was a little bit of a poor getaway initially.
It was, but that's been forgotten about now. He's
just having a look at what happened to Martin Bell earlier here.
Yeah, just got wide there, got onto the outside, dropped a wheel off onto the grass on the outside, and it spun him towards the inside.
You can go a long way sometimes, but again, thankfully the grass is dry, so they're not travelling quite as far as we have seen in the past. And safety cars still out there at the moment. Remember, though, we will add up to 3 laps to the race distance here, so there'll still be plenty of racing time, and Matt Jackson will be very aware of that when he sees Paul O'Neill in his mirrors when they do get the race underway once again. Then it's Adam Jones looking for the Cartridge World's first podium. If he can hold on to where he is right now, that would be a real achievement for the new team with those bioethanol-powered Seat Leons.
Yeah, they were very late getting everything together and sort of just turned up at the Rocky and Media Day, but then missed the next test day, and it's all been very late to get everything sorted, and they've done a fantastic job. The team looked tremendous, great sponsor, great colours, very distinctive out on the circuit, and in Dan Eves, maybe not today, but certainly in Dan Eves and Adam Jones, they've got 2 fantastic drivers.
Yeah, very strong drivers. Yeah, Dan's having a miserable time, but nonetheless, he'll come back fighting another day, I'm sure. So we've still got a bit of car recovery going on, which is extending the safety car period for a little bit longer. Matt Neal's still in that middle of that group for Vauxhall, but if you look at where Vauxhall were earlier on today, with a clean sweep in race 1, leading race 2 until the closing stages, it seems a bit odd now that our leading Vauxhall's down in 6th position.
Yeah, but that's the result of the reverse grid. We reversed the maximum number of cars, which obviously pushed the Vauxhalls to the back of that 10. I am a little bit surprised that Giovinazzi and Turkington haven't made more progress. They're basically exactly where they started, 9th and 10th. So maybe there's a little bit more to come. Maybe they thought there might be a safety car and they were saving their tyres and waiting for things to crunch up a little bit, and now they'll make their push.
We might see some more lunges, I think, going on in the latter part of this. Matt Neal, we're on board with him, having a fine start to the season, and it's great to see, because he had a tough year, didn't he, going in to join Fabrizio Giovinazzi in a car that was, to a certain extent, designed around Giovinazzi. So a tough year last year, but he has come back fighting fit this year, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's really, really impressed, and this looks like Matt Neal champion potential, doesn't it, back from his Dynamics days. And yeah, it was a tough call to go in, highly paid job next to a highly rated teammate in a car that wasn't developed around him, but he's really found his feet, and getting that brilliant start at Brands Hatch has given him the impetus, and I think we'll see Matt contending all year. And as he sits here now, he's going to be forceful when he needs to be and take the points when he needs to take the points.
Absolutely, he's ahead of Turkington, who's currently sitting 2nd in the points, so he'll be happy with that. He's ahead of his teammate, big rival Giovinazzi. These are Matt's feet, so let's see whether he's doing the same thing as James was.
Yeah, same sort of left foot braking. The reason you can see the driver's feet sort of rocking backwards and forwards, side to side, is just because they're weaving, and their legs are literally swaying side to side as they're doing it. That's what that's about. But yeah, he's keeping some brake temperature up. Look, just dragging the brake a little bit, not a lot, just dragging it a little bit.
Yeah, no, sensible, intelligent race driving there from the double champion, and those 2 teammates with 4 titles between them. It's a big one to try and win this one this year, there's no doubt about it. Jason Plato following on in the Chevrolet. He sits in 7th place, of course, in the Racing Silverline car. This is Jason's start. Let's see how he did.
Yeah, he was behind Adam Jones on the 3rd row, but there goes Collard with his sort of typically blistering start. and of course Stephen Jelley as well in a BMW, and they really got ahead of him. But Plato then looks to get up the inside. Thompson's in front of him as well. Plato looking down the inside, gets a bit of a touch there. Whoa, Tomo did well to save that.
And it was just as well Tomo wasn't sandwiched by somebody on the other side at that point. It could have all ended in tears. So lost out a bit as a result, didn't he, Plato?
Yeah, he really made the bad start, got past, then got boxed in at the inside of the complex, and that's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah. Remember, well, as John George's car does get put on the transporter, the marshal's doing a great job as ever. It's just in a tricky position really down there. To get the transporter to that area has taken a little while. But the marshals, all volunteers in motorsport, of course, and giving up their weekends. But, of course, they get a great chance to get close to the action. That's what they're all doing. And really helping out to get this car cleared as quickly as they can. But it obviously has taken a little longer than expected at first.
Yeah, I think the Recovery Cup truck now will just go straight across the circuit to the infield where it's going to be in a safe position. So I should imagine it won't be long before we get going again.
So it's Matt Jackson still with the race lead here, who's going to be looking at perhaps a 3-lap sprint or so when the safety car does come in. And he'll be trying to hold on from Paul O'Neill. Paul O'Neill's currently sitting in second place, and then Adam Jones in third. James Thompson still sitting in there. Rob Collard, don't forget him. He's sitting in 5th position. Local driver, Rob Collard. And the family totally immersed in motorsport. And his son, both his sons are racing karts at the moment. Ricky, I think it is currently 3rd in the championship he's campaigning in. And Rob was telling me, actually, last night after qualifying, he went back home to prepare the karts for next weekend.
Good for him, but we're back to racing as we thought. Circuit's clear. Guys now weakening the tyres a little bit harder, a bit more urgency going on here. Jackson controls the restart.
So, lights out, as you say, we are going to be going racing. We're going to add some laps onto that tally as well, so this is not the last lap. So we are going to see some real racing here. It's Matt Jackson looking for a win on his return to the series in a brand new car, and he's gone for it straight away, and he's left Paul O'Neill, who was left napping. Paul O'Neill got caught out completely by the pace of restart there, and that was clever stuff from Matt Jackson. And O'Neill's now in trouble from Adam Jones, who's going to battle for second place.
Yeah, Paul O'Neill just literally asleep there. Probably hadn't read the rulebook since 2007, but the rulebook says that the leader dictates the pace, and he can go when he likes.
Very different to what Giovanardi was doing earlier. Giovanardi did wait until the exit of the chicane before going. This time, Matt Jackson went on the approach to the chicane. Clever stuff, and it's called Paul O'Neill out, who now has to watch out for Adam Jones behind him. Then James Thompson, Rob Collard on the attack as well. Matt Neal in that group, so's Jason Plato. Can they really all survive with these cars in one piece? Well, 3 laps to go, we'll have to see.
3 laps to go, anything could happen. Paul O'Neill has just got a couple of car lengths maybe to settle down in front and not be pressured by Adam Jones, but he really lost it. Look at that car, he's handling very well, that car.
I know I'm going to speak too early here, but I tell you, one of the most impressive things today has been the lack of punctures, and the teams really have been sensible. They've done what Dunlop asked them to do, and the tyres have stood up accordingly. They always tell the teams, if you do what we say, they will be okay.
Yeah, but there's always a balance, isn't there, between safety and performance, and the teams will try and squeeze everything out of it, but most of the guys have learned from previous years, and it just isn't worth it.
Oh, James Thompson having a go at Adam Jones there, with Rob Collard tucked in behind. I wonder if Jones made a little slip up through Church Corner or something, because he certainly fell back into the clutches, and here comes Rob Collard down the inside. He's going to go for it. He will not back out of that, and as I say, they make contact there.
Well, second time this race they've made contact in a dangerous place, but look at that, it's allowed Neil through. Just the slightest little bit of slowing up and Neil's through there. Don't hit Tomo.
No, and Plato's going to try and follow, but he can't find enough space. But Matt Neal, good move there just to take advantage of that loss of momentum that Rob Collard had as a result of contact. Great control from both of them to get through in one piece. And meanwhile, is there a problem for Paul O'Neill? No, I think he's okay. Oh no, yes,
there is.
Maybe he's got a puncture. Maybe we spoke too soon, because suddenly,
what a shame.
Suddenly he has backed right off. And that is a surprise. So late in the race, you'd have thought the tyres would have been through that heat cycle, they'd have been fine. Maybe he clipped a curb somewhere. We'll find out later. But Paul O'Neill has dropped from second. That means Adam Jones is into second, and the rest of them are now battling for third place. Thompson is third, Matt Neal is fourth, Collard is now fifth.
Yeah, this is going to be the battle for third place. I think the first two probably have got a good gap now. Fantastic for Jackson. He really did this on the restart. And Adam Jones fully deserving if he can hold on the second.
Here we go, as they come through the chicane. Plato is at the back of this group in the blue car, and he's trying to make a move if possible. Then Stephen Jelly, followed by Fabrizio Giovanardi and Colin Turkington, and Dave Pinkney joining in. There's Paul O'Neill, though, just trying to get it back to the pits. Disappointment for the family.
Well, huge disappointment for not only Paul O'Neill, but Marvin Humphreys, the whole 10-speed crew, and Sunshine.co.uk looking for their best result. But that's racing, and that's racing at Thruxton. Look at this train of cars, all vying for third place, with Dynamics cars at the front and the back. Thompson at the front, Pinkney at the back.
Thompson wants his first podium on his return to British Touring Cars, and he will fight tooth and nail to keep Matt Neal behind him. But Matt Neal's got Rob Collard right there in the white and blue BMW, the Team Airwaves car, and then it's Jason Plato, of course, winner of race 3 at Brands Hatch last time out, who's also trying to fight for points. This is great stuff, but all the time Matt Jackson has opened up his advantage. He's leading this race by over 2.5 seconds now, partly as a result of that masterly restart and then the loss of Paul O'Neill from the race. There is Matt Jackson, and he will be coming around onto his final lap next time around.
Yeah, Andrew Jordan's been in the pits, presumably for a tyre change as well, but there are 8 cars battling over this third place.
Thompson wants to hold on to third. Can he do it? The man who won the title twice when he was driving for Vauxhall. Here he is on his return, driving for Team Dynamics, a team that's also won the title in the past when Matt Neal was with them. Can he hold on to it? He's got Matt Neal right behind. That's the irony of this situation. Matt Neal is trying to get past the car that is run by his family.
I know, but that won't stop him. He's used to this situation now. He'll push for it. If there's a slightest mistake by Thompson, he'll be through.
Well, let's see what's happening. Last lap into the complex. This is a potential overtaking area, and look at Collard
around the outside. This is where the BMW's really good. Brilliant drive by Collard.
Oh, fantastic. But Jason Plato's going to join in as well, and he's going to try and get down the inside of Matt Neal. A little bit of contact from Neal on Collard, and Plato's gone alongside Matt Neal. Matt Neal's lost 2 places. He's lost one to Stephen Jelly as well, and Matt Neal in a bit of trouble. Look at Plato go. He's getting past Collard. Matt Neal's on the grass trying to defend his position.
Yeah, Plato round the outside of 2 cars there. If there was the slightest loss of momentum, this lot would fall over each other, and so it's proved. But great opportunities driving by Jason Plato. That now leaves Thompson clear in third.
And it's brought Plato from 6th to 4th place. So the Chevrolets are looking great here at Thruxton. Plato always thought it'd be good. Here comes Matt Neal on Stephen Jelly. Fabrizio Giovanardi and the other Vauxhall on the outside. He's coming through. Giovanardi gets past Neal, and in terms of points for the championship, that is crucial. They will go wheel to wheel into the chicane. Giovanardi gives him space. Matt Neal might break too late. No, he doesn't. And they're going to be to the checkered flag. It's victory for Matt Jackson. Chevrolet wins again. 2nd goes to Adam Jones. 3rd goes to James Thompson. And Plato takes that 4th place. Another great final race from him. Collard is 5th. Martin Johnson is off at the end of the race, so missed out from finishing 13th. And no, Liam McMillan out there too. I don't know whether there was any contact between them, but it is Matt Jackson. Well, that is such a deserving victory for Matt Jackson, who put the deal together just like Jason Plato did for Brands Hatch. Matt Jackson finished off the deal to get out in this car this weekend, and he has been learning it throughout the weekend, and he has now done exactly what Plato managed at Brands. He's taken victory in race 3. And I tell you what, these Chevrolet Lacettis are quick cars, and given the chance, they can perform, and Plato proved that as well with his 4th place finish. Wonderful to have both the drivers and the cars in the series. I tell you what, this year's championship is looking as competitive as ever. James Thompson, he held on to get that podium finish on his return to the series as well, but it is Matt Jackson with the victory. This was Plato's on board on that last lap. Now Collard managed to get alongside Matt Neal. That was a great move from Collard. Jason Plato saw this all happening in front of him and saw there could be a chance to gain momentum. He cuts back to the inside here, and as those two made contact, he had the run. So he got past Matt Neal, but he also had a greater run, more momentum than Collard did, and he just swept round the outside. Brave stuff, but he had the speed out of the complex, and he judged it to perfection. So Plato went from 6th to 4th in one straightforward, in inverted commas, manoeuvre. And that is, oh, this is the crash of Liam McMillan. This was through Allard's corner. Oh, yeah, he went off quickly. Bam! That will have been a heavy impact. We couldn't quite see the actual contact with the barrier, but I tell you what, when a car goes off there, it hits hard. And Liam McMillan, well, he's learning the trade of touring car racing, but that's a painful way to learn it. So Matt Jackson, the winner there by 1.2 seconds in the end. Adam Jones, Cartridge World take their first podium finish in British Touring Cars. Great result. Thompson with 3rd place on his comeback to the series. Plato next up, then Collard and Stephen Jelly. Matt Neal in 7th. And the Vauxhalls suffering in race 3, 7th and 8th. Colin Turkington 9th, having won race 2. Then Dave Pickney finished in 10th place. Just outside the points then, it was Harry Volkard, Johnny Adam, bit out of luck this weekend, Martin Bell and Martin Johnson, who pulled over at the end. Nick Leeson, Andrew Jordan had a pit stop during that race. Ian McMillan crashed out. Paul O'Neill, who perhaps could have been on the podium, but suffered a puncture there towards the end. And John George, of course, who crashed out earlier in the race. Well, in terms of the standings, this is what it's done. Matt Neal retains the lead and Turkington stays in 2nd place, but really the main mover this weekend has been Giovanardi, moving up into 3rd place and becoming a challenger as we would expect. Rob Collard back down to 4th, Plato's in there, and Matt Jackson, having not raced at Brands Hatch, well, look at that, he's popped straight into 8th place as a result of that victory in particular in race 3. Great to have him in the series, and that's exactly how it should be. Jonathan Adam in 9th place and Andrew Jordan is in 10th.
So Matt Jackson, our 6th different winner in 6 races in the Touring Car Championship this season. He brings the triumphant Chevrolet into place. We'll let him get out of the car and we'll be back to enjoy the celebrations and analyse the day and look back on everything that has been achieved in the championship so far today. In particular, we'll be talking to our 3rd race winner, Matt Jackson, in just a few minutes' time.